So what we are going to go and deal with now is the creating of recipes. So how do we create recipes? So let's go back to our controllers. And I think there are some other thing we need to do for our pipeline. Let's take a look at the search here. Are we sorting? We are not sorting. So let's make sure that we sort. We say dot sort. Oh, not right. Dot sort. So what we want to do is we are sorting by underscore ID, and we see from descending order, from the latest to the oldest. So we want to sort. We just don't want it to just everything to just come back just like that. Let's make sure that in the one we are getting for user that we are also sorting. Okay, so we are sorting that. If I go back to the pipeline, I can't really say if this is going to improve or anything right now, but I will just add it also dot exe here. Just pass that to you so that every one of them contains every search, every query contains that. So right now, let's go ahead and build the create recipe functionality. So I'm just going to go here and simply create the controller. So export const create recipe. I'm going to be asynchronous. Going to take request, which is request. Going to take response. Going to be a response, and then you're going to return an empty object. Now let me just go to the route and use that. So I'm going to go to, first of all, let me export it. Let me close some of these. Don't need them. Close this one. Close this one. Yeah, let's go here and export the create recipes. Create recipe. And let's go here. What is create recipe? All right, so we now have all this. So let's go back to the route and let's pass it to, let's say create recipe. Create recipe. Let's make sure to export it here. Create recipe. All right, so with this now, we are done with this recipe router. We have set up everything that we need for now. What else do we need to do? I think we are here. Before we do this, before we actually create this create recipe functionality, before we deal with any other thing that has to do with it, one thing we need to do is to set up our passport so that the passport will be able to validate for us if a user is authenticated to access a route. So because right now anybody can just hit this route whether they are signed in or not, but we want to make sure that the person is signed in, and then also want to make sure that the token this person is using is also a valid token. So what we need to do now is let's go back to our Explorer here, and let's click on the source, right click on new folder, let's call it config. Config, let's create our index.ts. So maybe we have another configuration here, but let's create a file for passport.ts. So this is for passport especially. Let's import some stuff from our passport package. Let's import stuff from our passport JWT. Let's say extract JWT. Oh, okay. All right. We're extracting JWT. Why is this not picking up? JWT, we are extracting strategy from passport.jwt. We're also going to import passport static from passport. This is what we have. Then after that, let's import our user model. So import user, and I think I need to change this to /. I've just pasted this here so to save us time. So we have an option, const option equals to JWT from request. We want to read, let me close this, JWT from the request, and we are going to read it from auth header as bearer token. So our client or whoever is going to consume this our API needs to send us our JWT token as bearer token. Then our secret or key that we are going to pass here is the same secret that we gave our JWT JSON Web Token when it was signing with our ID. When we are creating our token, when a user logs in, we gave it a secret. That same secret is what we are going to pass in here. What is it as string? So we are passing back that same secret here, because for Passport to be able to read this our token, our JWT, it needs our secret. Like I mentioned earlier, for anybody to be able to read whatever we have, see the information we have there, they need our secrets actually. All right, so we now go down here and we create a function called authenticate. And this function is going to take in passports. So we're going to pass in passport here, and we give it a type of passport static. And then what do we want to do? We say passport.use, new strategy, we pass in the option. Then this option, whenever it extracts, everything is going to extract from JWT. That is what is going to be called JWT payload. And then this done is a callback function. So we are doing a try catch here. We're saying check if user, if we check our user database, do you find any user by ID with JWT underscore payload.id? So if you find the user, then return done and then null, and then you pass in the user ID. But if you don't find anybody, then return false. So if you pass in maybe a JWT that has either expired or does not exist or whatever, or maybe the user of that JWT has been deleted from our database, they are going to get false, which is going to be unauthorized. Now, some people might not hit the database here, or they might pass some people pass more information here, probably user email and all that. But in our case, a very simple application, so we're just going to pass in the ID of the user. So if an error occurs, we have an error logged here. So with this now, we will go and configure our application. So whenever we initialize, passport does its thing, and then we are able to read request or user, because originally in our request object there is no user there. So we are passing that from here. Okay, so let's go back this time around to our index.ts, our main entry file. So let's look for that. So I go to my index.ts, the main entry file here, and here is where I'm going to configure passport. Okay, but before I start using passport, let me go back to my config here and export that. So I'm going to say export authenticate. So I'm exporting the authenticate from the index. Like I said earlier, I want everything to be exported from an index in the folder, so that when I go to that particular index, I know everything is coming from this side. So if I go back to my entry file, which is the index.ts now, I can use passport. So I want to import passport itself. You say import passport from passport, and I would also import the authenticate. I'm going to say import authenticate from /config. If we go down after our helmet here, we're going to say app.use middleware. I'm going to pass in passport, and we're going to say passport.initialize. So we want to initialize our passport here. Now, after initializing passport, we are going to, let me just put a comment that says passport config. So we're going to say authenticate, and we pass in passport to it. So now we have called the authenticate that we created in our config. If I go back to here, this, and then we passed it passport, and then passport does all this one for us. So we go back here, not here, to the entry file. I go back to the entry file here. So we initialize passport, then we pass in passport here. So with this now, you would have request.user, and then we can also use passports now to validate the routes, to make sure that it's only those that are logged in that are able to access them. For example, if we go back to the route, let's go back to recipe routes now. We now need to pass in another middleware. So one thing we need to do is, before you even get to the validate middleware, in this case, in the ones that has validate middleware, we want to check that you are even logged in. So immediately you go to the route, we want to check that, oh, is this person actually logged in? If the person is logged in, then proceed to the next middleware, which will then check, oh, do you have the required data for accessing this route? Then if yes, move on to the next one. Else, then you are logged out, you are given an error. So let's start with the first one. We're going to import passport again here. So let me go up. I'm going to say import passport from passport. So once you hit the route, we are going to pass in the passport middleware. So I'm going to say passport.authenticate. So passport is going to call the authenticate method, and it's going to say is authenticating using JWT, because that is the strategy that we choose. JWT. Passport has different strategies. And then we're going to say session first because we don't have any session associated with our application. So I'm going to pass it for the rest of the application route. The rest of the application route or the rest of our route has passport enabled. So now if you are not logged in, then you cannot access any of this information here. So we have protected this route now. To create the create functionality, we now have to deal with files. We have to deal with files, which was one of the reasons why I had it to come as the last in here. We want to deal with file. So there are many ways to handle file in Express, but I'm going to use an npm package called express-file upload. That is what I'm going to use here to upload those files from to get files from wherever we are sending it to this path, or to handle file uploading in Express. So there is also another package very popular, Malta, but in this case here, I'm going to use express-file upload. So let's quickly go back and install that. Let's go to our terminal. Now I see that our terminal has crashed. Let's find out what is wrong. I can see we cannot find the module source slash models in dot slash source slash index.ts. Let's quickly, is it true? Controller slash recipe.ts. Let's go and check controller. I didn't save this. Let me see. Controller slash, where is our controller? Okay, here, very right here. So I need to change this to dot slash. So I think that should fix that. Let's take a look. Let's see what our server says. Does this still crash? It doesn't crash, but we're going to actually terminate this. It doesn't crash. I'm going to clear. Now I'm going to install three packages: yarn, add, express dash file upload. So this is going to be the one to handle file for us. Then we're going to install sharp. We're going to use sharp to optimize the image, resize the image, and do whatever I want to do. But in our case, we're just going to resize the image and also change the image extension. We also need to install one other package, which is going to be Cloudinary, because in this application, we're going to store our images in Cloudinary, so that we will be able to read that from our client application. So I'm going to install these three. Is it three? Yeah, I need one more packages, which is buffer dash to dash stream. So why I'm installing this one is because I want to stream the image to Cloudinary. I just don't want to pass everything at once. I want to stream it to Cloudinary. So buffer to stream will help me to do that. So, we are done installing. Let's clear and let's install types for these packages. So we're going to yarn at dash d at types slash what was the first one? Express dash file upload at types slash, I think, sharp at types slash, what is the next one? I think let me say buffer dash to dash string, then at types slash cloud. Now I'm not sure if all of them have types. Some of them already have inbuilt types, so we'll just have an error if we get to that. So I don't remember. So it crashed, probably the Cloudinary part. Oh, I spelled it wrong. So it's supposed to be types, and I have a wrong spelling there. So let me try again. It still crashed. Okay, so at this point, I think that maybe Cloudinary doesn't need for us to install external types. Maybe it has it inbuilt. So I'm going to clear, and I'm just going to go back and remove it. You can check all this before you do that, but I didn't check. I just wanted to install from here. So I think it's fine. The rest of them are working. So we're installing that. Yeah, we are done installing the types for these items, these npm packages. So let us set up express file upload. So let's go back right here in this index.ts, our entry file. Let's import express file upload from express file upload. And then we're going to go here and pass in the middleware. I'm going to pass it before the passport. So now this middleware is going to help us and enable us to handle file. So we say app.use file upload. We set a limit, our file size. So 1024 times 1024, that is 1 MB. So that is about 50 MB. If the file size is larger than 50 MB, then we are going to say abort on limit true. So this is going to abort. It won't send. It won't work for you. So you can maybe throw false and then maybe handle it yourself. But and here I'm just going to say abort. So once it passes 50 MB, you can reduce it or increase it or whatever you want. But this is what I have, even though probably I won't even be. I will just leave it like that, 50 MB. All right. So with this being set up now, I can now read request the files and then get my files. Now you might ask or might wonder, why are we not handling files using the middleware? Why I'm not doing that is just I want to be able to access it from my controller and deal with it there. I don't want to do that from the middleware side. I want to handle my files in my controller. So let's go back to this one here, to the create recipes here. What do we want to do? Now, what do we want to do? First of all, let's start with this. First of all, we are going to check that we have request.user from Express. We want to make sure that Express has this. So if we don't have a user, so that means you are trying to create a recipe, but we don't have any user that we're going to say, oh, this recipe was created by this user. So we're going to throw an error, which is 422 unprocessable entity. We're going to say unable to process your request. Now, the next line here, we are checking to see if you do not have request of files, that is one, and also if we're now converting the files object to an array by saying object of keys request of files. If we check the length and it's equal to 0, so you don't have anything there, then we're going to throw an error simply saying rest.status 400, which is bad request, and we are telling you that no files were uploaded, so you don't have any file. So we will stop here. We won't go further with this. Now, if you pass these two sides, that means you are logged in actually, and also you have a files there. So I'm going to say const image equals to request of files. This is going to come as an array. So first of all, I need to let it know that we are not going to have an array of objects here. We're just going to have a single object. So I'm going to say dot image, which is sorry, dot image. Oh my god, dot image. This image now is the name that we're going to give it when we are creating it, maybe to your input field or to your form data, however you want to send it. This is the name. We're going to call it image. But we're going to say as upload file. Now this upload file is going to come from express file upload. So we express file upload has two. We have upload file and upload files, which is an array. But we're going to tell you, oh, this is an upload file, which simply means is a single image here. So I'm going to go and say import upload file from express file upload. Yeah. Oh, sorry, it seems to be called. Yeah, I have an error and it says express file upload has no expected member upload file. Did you mean uploaded file? So it's to be called uploaded file, not upload file. Uploaded file. It's one uploaded file, and we have the second one uploaded files, which is for the array. Now, one thing we can do, we could do immediately from our index here, is to check for file extension. But I want to do it from here. Once I already have the image, I want to check here. But I want to create a util. So I'm going to go back to my source here. I'm going to right click on new folder. Let's call it util. And inside this here, we're also going to have, as usual, our index.ts. And also we are going to have, this one is going to be image.ts. And what are we having here? So we're going to import uploaded file from express file upload, and we're just passing in all the formatted type of image that we accept. So we call it supported underscore format. We have image slash JPEG, JPG, PNG, whatever, both in caps lock and in lowercase, in capital letter, in lowercase, uppercase, and what else do we have here? And several spelling for the case of JPEG. Then we have a function which is called validate image type. And it's going to take a file, obviously I just got the value of uploaded file. So it's taking a single file. And what does it do? We're just going to check that the MIME type is one of these. So if you cannot find the MIME type in here, then we don't support such image. So we are going to export that in the index.ts. Let's call it export validates image type. So we want to go back to our recipe controller And we now want to validate that, okay, is this image correct? Because we check the MIME type, do we have what we need from this image? We now say if not, so if we validate this and it returns false, we're just going to throw an error with a status of hit 422 unprocessable entity, and we say image type not supported. So the image type that you have provided to us, we do not support it, and we make sure to import validate image type from dot slash utils slash image. No, it's going to be slash utils. So we get that from there, and then so this will make sure that the image you are passing is the image that we support based on the MIME type here. On the MIME type, it must be match one of these. If it doesn't match any of these, we throw an error to you. So let me close that up, and that's what we're going to do there. Now, with Express file upload, you can at this point, this image is going to have a function called MV. Assuming that you want to store this to disk, store your file to disk, the image to disk, for example. Using Express file upload, you can just get a file name. So to get a file name here, I'm saying date.now. I'm getting the string or the number that's going to come back. And then I'm getting the image name from the user. I can lowercase it or whatever. And then I have a path to file. And I'm using the inbuilt nodejs path.resolve the current DRI underscore directory name. And then I'm moving all the way up to the assets folder, and then I'm passing in this particular same thing, this file name. So I can even just let me just replace this with file name here, and then I have a file name. And then, like I said, this image comes with a function called MV, which simply tells SSI upload where to move your file to. So we say image.mv path to file. So which is this place now is where when it saves, when this controller is called and everything goes well, it's going to move your image there to this particular file here. See path to file. And then if an error occurs, we're just going to throw an error, but we don't know the kind of error that is going to come. So that is why I just send this back with a state of 500, telling you that, oh, it's coming from the server. Now, so we are going to use Cloudinary to store these files. So I'm going to comment this out. In the case or in the event that you want to store on disk, then you could actually use this method. So with this will now require us to get a Cloudinary account. But before we do that, let's initialize two variables. Let's create two variables, not initialize. So I've created two variables, image URL and image ID. So before we do this now, let's go and create a Cloudinary account. So let's go back to our browser and let's type Cloudinary, cloudinary.com. Now Cloudinary has opened. You are going to, if you are new here, you click, I probably would just say sign up and then get back to yours. But if you are new here, you click on sign up for free. You'll be asked to sign in with up with Google or GitHub, or you want to sign up with email and all that. So I would just say sign up with anyone you like and then log in and let's get started. So once you're done signing up, please log in. If you click on login, you'll find yourself here. So now once you are logged in, you should find yourself in somewhere like this. It says, okay, welcome to Cloudinary, get started and all that. So you can see your name here. This is the name that was, I don't know, I think I chose that name or it was given to me, I don't know. Then you can click on media library to see the files that maybe some files from them. I'm going to scroll down and see some stuff from Cloudinary. Now, obviously, some of these things I've already uploaded something there before in Cloudinary, so these are not coming from Cloudinary. But you want to click on dashboard. Now you have your production environment. You see your Cloudinary name here. You have your API key. You have your API secret. So these three things is what we'll be needing from Cloudinary: the Cloudinary name, the Cloudinary API key, and the Cloudinary secret. So I'm going to go back and let's go to our environment variable. Let's click on .env and let's add Cloudinary underscore cloud name. So we're going to have a cloud name underscore name. Let me just equal to, and we're going to have Cloudinary underscore API underscore secret. And then we have Cloudinary underscore API underscore key. So these three things, let's go back and copy them. So let's go to the first one, Cloudinary name. We'll click on it to copy. So we put our Cloudinary name. You put your name there. Then you go back, Cloudinary secrets. You click and copy that. Then you paste it. Then Cloudinary API key. You click and copy that, and then you paste it. So with that being done, we now have our Cloudinary ready for us to use. But what we're going to do is let's create another folder in the source folder where we configure our Cloudinary service. So let's create a folder called Cloudinary. Right inside here, we are just going to create an index. We just have a simple thing there, index.ts. We are going to import a couple of packages. So from our Cloudinary npm package, we're going to import upload API response, which is just a type for the response, upload API response, and upload API error response. Then we're going to import v2 as Cloudinary. So anytime we call Cloudinary, we are referring to v2. Then we're going to import to stream from buffer to stream. We're going to import sharp from sharp. So we'll be using all this for our file. So the next stage for us is to configure our Cloudinary. So we now configure Cloudinary. We're going to say cloudinary.config. The Cloudinary name is read from our environment variable, process.env.cloudinary name. Remember, you copied it from the dashboard to your environment variable. The same thing for the API key, the secret. And we're going to say that the secure should be true. So make sure that you copy all these things from your Cloudinary dashboard. Now, after we are done with that, we are going to create a function. I'm going to say export const upload. So we're just going to call it upload. We're going to make any synchronous function, and it's going to take in a file. I think the file is going to be of a buffer. Let's say a buffer for now. And we're going to take a folder, so give us a folder name of string. So, and we are going to return a promise. Let me close this one. A promise. We're going to return a promise that is going to be of type upload API response or upload API error response. So if we have an error, we're going to return the other one. So we are going to say it's going to be an arrow function. If I save that to bring it down, let me hover to see what could be wrong. Okay, I must return something. All right, no problem. Now, what do we want to do here inside this place? We're going to resize the image using sharp. So we say const buffer of file, and we say await sharp, and we pass in the file buffer. So we're not passing the file itself, we are passing the buffer. So remember, it's a type buffer here. We're passing it, and we are resizing by 1870 width and height, and we are converting it to web p, and we are saying a quality of 90, and we are saying dot to buffer. So this will enable us to stream it later on. Then we're going to say return new promise. So we are sending back a promise. We're going to pass in resolve and reject. Can't spell reject now. Now, what are we going to do here? We create this const upload equals to Cloudinary dot uploader dot upload underscore stream, because we want to stream. So it's not only streaming. So you can say, for example, I say Cloudinary dot uploader dot, now I can have upload, but I want to upload stream. So this is what I'm using here, upload stream, because like I said, we're going to stream this file. And then if an error occurs, we know that the error is of type upload API error response. And then if we have a result, we know that the result is going to be of type upload API response. So now if there is an error, we are just rejecting with that error. And then if there is no error, we are resolving with the result. But now we need to call this somewhere so that we can stream this data. So let's call it down here, right after the whole thing. Let's go down and let's say to stream, which is coming from buffer dash to stream. We now pass what do we want to stream. We want to stream this particular buffer here that was created by sharp. We want to stream it, and we're going to pipe. So each of them is going to keep coming. We are piping it to this upload here, this upload here. which is this entire thing here. So we get a chunk from here that is ready to be pushed, and when we pipe it to this upload, and the upload will take it as a stream and then push it to Cloudinary till the whole data is done being uploaded. And then we are passing another variable, which are the resource type, which is auto, and then the folder is the folder that we are going to get right, where is this, right here. So with this now, we have set up Cloudinary and we are able to upload file with it. Now, for example, if you want to delete, then you still come back here and create another one for deleting and handle deletion. So that is that. Now let's go back to our, let's export first of all. Okay, we're already in index, we don't need to export anything. Let's go back to our recipe, create recipe, and let's use it there. Now let's quickly call a simple try catch here, first of all. And we're going to say that const res is equals to await. And we're now going to call the Cloudinary method. So we're going to say upload. So uploads, which is coming from Cloudinary, upload, and we have to give it a file to a buffer to upload. So remember our image that we have there. We're going to say image dot data, which is the buffered, and then we have to pass in a folder, which is going to be images. So we have passed in the image buffer, which is image.data. If you log out, you will get the buffered version of our image file. So we've passed that to it, and then we say that this in the folder is going to be images. Now, once we get our response back, if we have a response, so let me see if response, if response. So if we have something, what do we want to do? We're going to say that image URL is going to be response dot secure URL, because we're going to have secure URL. And then image ID is going to be response dot response dot public ID. So with these two now, we now have our image URL and our image ID. But in the case that an error occurs, we want to throw the error. So I'm going to say, okay, this is a Cloudinary error. So I'm just logging in so that if this occurs, we know that this is from Cloudinary. And we are saying, we're actually saying bad request here, but let's change it to 500, probably internal server error. But this is not internal server error. And let's also allow Cloudinary to do its thing. So we just fire back the error that Cloudinary throws back for us. All right, so if an error occurs, we are going to log the error to the console, and we are tagging it Cloudinary error so that we know that this error is coming from Cloudinary. And then we're going to say internal server error, but internal server error indicates that it's come from a server, but it's an external API that also has that error, not us. So I will also show the error back to the user. You don't know the kind of error that might be coming back. So now once this goes successful, once everything is successful here, we want to destructure every other thing from the request body. So I'm going to have the title, the notes, the description, and the ingredients. And they are all going to have a type of all this here. Title is of type string, notes of type string, description of type string. Now remember that this would already be validated by our validate middleware. It's just the file that is not being validated. We didn't do that. I don't want to. Like I said, I want to validate my file from here. So once we do this, then we are now going to call another try catch. Yeah. And then this time around, we are going to create the recipe. So we're going to const new recipe, which is going to be of type, await recipe model dot create. Now, what do we want to create? Let's pass in an object, and we are going to pass in everything from here down here. And we're also going to pass in the user. Remember, we have to pass in a user, and it's going to come from request.user. So that is why in the beginning we already checked to make sure that we have request.user, which is simply the user ID. Now we also need to pass the image property. The image is going to be an object, and it's going to say the URL. Remember, our image is going to be image URL, and the ID is going to be image ID. So we have passed this now. What is wrong? Is used before being declared, is used before being assigned. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's quickly assign it to be now, for now they are empty. So we clear that. But one other thing we need to make sure that we do is right here. I think we can just leave this like this and save it. Oh, sorry, where is it? Let's go back. Let me go. Let me remove these parts that I'll comment it out. I had parts earlier when I was demonstrating this one. So it's string here, but if this doesn't go successful, we would obviously not move forward. So I'm going to leave this like this. So at this point now we have the image, we have everything that we need, the user, the title, the description, ingredients, the image. An image, like I said earlier, is an object that contains the URL and ID. So this ID is the public ID. This is going to be very, very useful, probably in case you want to delete or you want to update or something. You'll be doing that using the public ID, which we are storing here. So if everything goes well, we say return response dot status of 201.json, and the message is going to be created successfully. Then we pass in everything here in the recipe, we spread it and send it back to the client or whoever is calling this API. But then, should an error occur, what do? We log the error, and then we also return a response of 500, and we say that, oh, an error occurred while processing your request. So with this now, we should be able to create our recipes, get our recipes, and also fetch and do whatever I want to do with recipes. So this is this. Let me quickly take a look at our server. Let me start the server. Yarn dev. I hope everything goes well at the first start, and let's see if we can be able to create a recipe. So if we create a recipe, we should find that in our database and also probably see the of course see the image in the Cloudinary side. So if everything connected successfully, let me go back. Let me close this up. Let me go back to, let me scroll up. Let's go back to collections. Let's go to collections. Okay. So by the time I create one, we should have one recipe here. So let me go back and let's go to Thunder client or your Postman, anyone you're using. So I'm going to click on Thunder client. I'm going to go click on new request. I'm going to change it to post, and it's going to go to localhost 4000 slash recipe slash what's it called slash create. Yes. And then for this case, remember I need to be logged in. First of all, I'm going to use a form because I need a file. So I'm going to click on form. I'm going to click on file because I need a file. Can I shrink this? Yes, I can. So the file name is going to be, click on this. The file name is going to be image. Remember, I've got this image. Let's choose a file from my local file here. So let's look for pictures. Let me see if I have any picture that I can use. Okay, so I have picture of food. Okay, let me use this one. I'll pick this. So we should be able to look for this theme there. So we have an image now. Let's also go and create the rest of the fields. So we have title. Let's call it testing. What do we have? We have ingredients. Ingredients. Let's see. Um, OS, Linux, Windows, anything. I'm just typing random stuff. And let's have a note. Let's even add a note. Note is optional, but let's add a note. And let's say the note is, let's just say hello or hell, whatever. And then what else do we have? Description. Yeah. Let me not add description first, and let's try sending. So the first error we should get is unauthorized because we are not even logged in. So we should get unauthorized. So if I send, if you look down, it simply says 401 unauthorized. So our passport middleware is working. We are unable to access this route because we are not logged in. So let's go and log in. So let's go here and let's go to slash auth slash join. And let's go to the body and let's create a JSON. So I'm going to say email, and I don't remember, I think John, I guess at gmail.com we use the other time. I want to keep creating more users. Then we have password, which is going to be I think test 1 2 3 4. Yeah, so I should be able to log in now and get a token. So if I log in, Now I have a token. I'm just going to copy this token and go back to our create here. I'm going to go to auth. I'm going to bearer. Remember, we are going to extract from bearer token in our passport. So I'm going to pass the token here. Now I should be able to create, or maybe an error occurs or something. So let's create. It says description is required. So I need to add description. So you see, our middleware is already working. We didn't have description, so it doesn't even bother going to the RAM or the controller. So initially we are not logged in, so the passport takes over. Then once we are logged in, the description, the validate middleware takes over. So let's add a description now. So add a description and let's just say yeah, yeah. So if I press on send now, let's see, does it work? It works and it works. So it says created successfully. So if I go back to the database, if I go to user and I go back to recipe, now we should have a single recipe. And now we have a recipe that has a title of testing, description here, yeah, note, hell, ingredients, OS, Linux, and we have our image. Oh, what's this? We have our image URL and the ID. And if we go back to Cloudinary, if I go back to Cloudinary, I go to media library, we should have that there. So if you look at our Cloudinary, I believe this is it here. So you see we have that image right here in our Cloudinary and also have the database. So everything now works fine. We're able to create and we are able to use that. So what else can we test? Let's test for I think slash recipe that will give us all the recipes. Let's turn this to get request. If I hit now, I should fetch and it automatically and it fetches everything for me. So if I look now, I have my everything here. We only have one, so it's only one that we have. Okay, let me go to slash recipe slash find. If I don't pass a query, we should get an error. It says invalid request. Let's pass a query. So I'm going to say q, is it like this? Equal to, what do we type there? We typed, let me type mango. I'm expecting to see something like null, and we have an empty array because it didn't find anything. Remember our find aggregate pipeline, we didn't find anything. So let me type something I think I typed here. So you should find something. Should it? He found it. Yeah. Now, why did he find it? We have hell, right? And there's no hell here. What we actually have is H capital letter, HELL. But remember the fuzzy keyword that we passed. That is why he was able to find this, even though they are not the same. So let me type something. Let me type something like HLL instead of, let me see if he's going to find that. He still found it. So this is awesome. So if you type something that is closer or look alike or it thinks it's similar, then it's going to search and get that. And it's very, very fast, about 538 milliseconds. So our searching is working. What else should we test? Let's check. We want to, I think this is the ID. Let's say we want to get a specific, what's it called? Recipe. I think we have recipe slash ID. So I'm going to paste the ID. And it's obviously just going to return this. But if you look at this now, this is an array. So if I hit this, it should be a single object. And it's just a single object. So that is that. With this working, I believe the rest of the application is also working. And now we are done with the server side of our application. Now that we are done building the whole application, we need to come back and fix this validate middleware. We gave the schema any here, but we want to change that. Instead of being any, we are going to use the infer type from Yup to tell this guy to infer the type. We are here telling the schema that we can either have a type. So we're trying to infer from these types. You can either have a type of create recipe schema, or a type of get recipe schema, or a type of get user recipes schema, or type of join schema. So these are the four kind of schema that your schema can be. Any of these ones, then it is fine. You can go ahead to do that. So if someone was to come here and pass in what is not here, then it wouldn't be able to infer that type. So this is a simple addition here, but I just wanted to make sure that we didn't leave it as any.